This is the Sabbath School lesson for the fourth quarter, 2020.
Lesson 6 for October 31 to November 6, More Lessons from the Master Teacher. Read by Dr. Percy Harrold. Thursday, November 5, A Student Who Gets It. Jesus and his followers had turned toward Jerusalem. As Herod had been concerned about John the Baptist, the authorities, including Herod, were now concerned about Jesus. His followers included the poor and other vulnerable folk, hoping desperately for change. Jesus wanted above all things to bring hope to the world. But he was sure by now that those with the most power and privilege were going to do what they could to nullify that mission. They did not want him to succeed. As for the inner circle of Jesus' students, the 12 disciples, they seemed eager to be on Jesus' side, but at the same time they seemed baffled or blind. For example, in Mark 8:31-33, the Master Teacher is challenging his students to see things hard for them to see. That is, in many ways they were spiritually blind to what really mattered. We read that in Mark chapter 8, verses 31-33. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He spoke this word openly. Then Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But when he had turned around and looked at his disciples, he rebuked Peter, saying, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are not mindful of the things of God, but the things of man." And here's what really mattered, verse 37, "Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul?" All this is background for Jesus' encounter with someone who does see. Question. Read the story of Jesus and the healing of Bartimaeus, a blind beggar, in Mark 10. Notice the great mercy Jesus shows. Now consider how the blind man's desire to see leads to his decision to follow Jesus on the way or road to Jerusalem. Do you think Mark may be drawing a contrast between Bartimaeus and the other disciples? How does this story shed light on what it means for you to be responsive to the Master Teacher? Mark 10, beginning at verse 46. Now they came to Jericho. As he went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great multitude, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the road begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Then many warned him to be quiet, but he cried out all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." So Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. Then they called the blind man, saying to him, "Be of good cheer, rise, he is calling you." And throwing aside his garment, he rose and came to Jesus. So Jesus answered and said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said to him, "Rabboni, that I may receive my sight." Then Jesus said to him, "Go your way, your faith has made you well." And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road. Bartimaeus had wanted to see the curl in a baby's hair and the colour of wheat in harvest, but seeing includes more than just what's physical only. This story, in other words, is about seeing spiritually. It's about getting it, about catching on to what the Master Teacher is truly about. Physical sight is one thing. It's an important thing, and Jesus knows it. But Jesus also knows that every person's deepest wish is for a new and better life. And so to finish today, read Hebrews 5:12-14. What is this teaching us about true education? Hebrews 5, beginning at verse 12. For though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you, again the first principles of the oracles of God, and you have come to need milk and not solid food. For everyone who partakes only of milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. but solid food belongs to those who are of full age, that is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern good and evil.
Hi there. Thanks for watching this video on the Advent-band Ministries YouTube channel. Please subscribe and click the bell icon to be alerted whenever we upload new videos. So, until we meet him in the clouds, may God continue to bless you.
This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind and Hearing Impaired, Christian Record Services for the Blind, the Sabbath School Department and Hope Channel. You can also listen on the official Sabbath School 4 app and the Apple iTunes app Sabbath School with Percy Harrold. Remember, God is always faithful.